All right, guys. Our next guest is a former UFC title challenger who's faced some of the best lightweights in the world. Now fighting at welterweight, the Motown phenom himself, Kevin Lee, is back on Submission Radio. Man, it's been too long, Kevin. Welcome back to the program.
Been far too long, far too long. I got to give show some love for all the fans down under every now and again, and especially you boys. But
Well,
it's been too long. You are right.
well, we appreciate you coming on. Always love when you jump on. And look at this hair, man. It's been so long that you've got a completely new hairstyle. When did this happen?
I'm in the process. It's still growing. It's still learning. Some people giving me slack for it, but I feel like this is the way my hair naturally come out my head. So why not embrace it? Why not enjoy it a little bit and show off what I got?
Yeah, I know. I saw on Instagram. This is almost like an exclusive because I saw there was a picture of you with your brother Keith, who won his fight. Congratulations to Keith. And there was you with the long hair, and I was like, could this be the mysterious Kevin Lee? And Brad Tavares was saying for you to cut off your hair, and it seems like you're not having it.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm starting to reach my form. Some people they get halfway through it, and it don't start to look just right. But I feel like I'm reaching my final form. So when you finally see me and I do unveil it, it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth all the months where it kind of looked like halfway decent, or sometimes it's just a growing process.
Dude, I've had so many bad haircuts, so I understand where you're coming from. How long are you going to take this? Is this going to be like down to the floor? No, Dewey Cooper's got some pretty long hair. Is this what we're going for one day?
I don't know. I just felt like it's just something that kind of came to me. Like I said, it naturally comes out of my head. So I'm just trying to embrace who I really am. I feel like I'm growing as a man and as a person a little bit. So I'm trying to grow into what's really me and, what's really natural for me. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll just take it as it comes. Whatever is controlling me, we'll do it.
And we've seen you've been fairly quiet on social media for a while now. You're like a rare Pokemon, Kevin Lee. How's life and why the radio silence on social?
Yeah, I mean, you can't give the folks too much sometimes. But then, especially social media, I just started to notice the changes of how it made me in life. And I feel like social media right now is going through such a big change, and it's gonna have to change pretty soon. So I'm kind of like sitting on the back burner, kind of watching it more than anything, and just seeing how exactly it's gonna change, because I think everybody kind of hopped into it without really understanding what it's really affecting us and doing to us. So it's just one of those things where, just for me personally, I had to take a step back, kind of survey everything, and then I'll hop back in when I'm ready for it. But it's just been mostly focusing on myself and doing what I got to do. I let the other people focus on me if they need to.
I know you spoke to us a little bit about this and just mental health in general and how social media sort of contributes to it. It's been a little while now since you've sort of gotten off the rat race of social media. How has life changed since you've sort of removed yourself from the social media side of things and sort of gotten away from that kind of thing?
I've definitely noticed, and I think other people around me have really noticed a change in how I feel more like I connect with people a little bit more. Where before, if there's always kind of this chatter in the back of your head, and there's always like, oh, I should be posting something right now, or oh, I should, maybe I should do this because then this will look cool, or oh, I wonder how many people will want to see this, or when that kind of went away, when I didn't have to worry about that, then it's like, okay, what do I really like to do, and what do I really like to talk about, and who are the people that I really want to see, not just because other people want me to. And I feel like once I did that, it kind of made a change in how I approached other people and in the types of conversations that I had with them. I feel like it's really helped me stay more personal, if anything.
It's interesting. Social media is one of those things where like it kind of started as like, oh yeah, here's me, here's a picture of you eating dinner, or here's with friends and stuff. But it's become very competitive, especially when it's a business sort of tool, like for yourself as a fighter. Did you ever sort of, keep track of like analytics? Did you ever look at something and be like, oh man, this isn't getting as many likes or retweets or, things as I thought? Did that stuff ever stress you out?
Yeah, I mean, I did, to be honest, and and then it took me a while, and a lot of people kind of wanted me to, almost, all these sponsors, and you start getting so many people that, okay, would you post here for I'll give you $1,000, or I'll give you 2,000, or I'll give you 10 if you just post this, and oh, does it, and they want to check and see how many likes you got, and that kind of creeps into your head a little bit too, until I finally kind of sat back and just realized, like, what am I doing this for? Am I doing it for the money? That's not really what I got into the sport for. Am I doing it for, I'm really doing it for other people. I'm doing it to see what their reaction is, because it changes the way that they look at me. But in reality, it just made the way I looked at myself a little different. And mental health is something that I think a lot of people don't focus on enough at all, especially in a sport like this. This sport it's got so many ups and downs and so many highs and lows, and it can really, like, fuck with your head a lot when you bring in how other people view you and how other people are thinking about it. I just felt like it was just too much for too little, and it's like, what am I doing? And I'm trying to be a world champion here. That's the only thing I care about. I don't really I'm not really in it for the rat race and for the popularity contest. Other people do, and they kind of use that to boost them up. But at the end of the day, I've sat back and looked at it, and some people with millions of followers on social media, that don't necessarily make them a better fighter. It don't necessarily bring in more pay-per-view buys, and I haven't seen anything where anybody is saying otherwise. Like, it's not really a good indicator of how well you're doing popularity-wise.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I want to touch on something that you said, Kevin, because you said that in a video after your last fight. You made a video when you were still in the hospital, actually, and you talked about the highs and lows of this sport, something you just mentioned, and you said that sometimes the highs and lows, they can kind of they can mess with what you believe in, and I think they can make you question what you really believe in. I'm just wondering, what exactly did you mean by that when you said that, in that hospital after the fight?
There's certain things. I mean, I'm at the end of the day, a lot of UFC fans or just fans in general, or people in general, are really seeing me kind of grow up from a 21-year-old into trying to be a grown man. And I feel like this last year I've really been in a stage of kind of limbo of trying to figure things out. And it just, sometimes you feel like things are falling right into place on what they should be. I'm not very religious. I'm not very, like, spiritual or anything like that. But I do think that there is something above us that's kind of orchestrating this whole thing. So I'll just give it to you. Like, even the whole night of the fight, everything felt like it was right in place and right what it should be. It's one of them days where somebody, you driving on your way to work, and every light is green for you, and then somebody comes up and they about to say something, and you know exactly what they're gonna say, and you got the exact perfect answer to them, and just everything feels like it's in place. And when the result didn't go the way that I thought that it was supposed to go, and it where the place that it felt like it should, it made me question all of that. It made me question, what I really thought and what's really controlling. And I'm like, damn, is this all, like, is it really worth something? But that's life, I guess, and as I sat back, I'm like, okay, it is what it is. Only thing I can do is just control what I can control, and not worry if there is somebody else or a God or whatever controlling it above us.
I know sometimes I'll have the same thing happen to me, Kevin, and you'll be like, I did everything right, but the outcome wasn't sort of what I wanted it to be. And, that's made me question things and wonder, should I be doing this? Should I be doing something else? So I'm wondering, after you lost to RDA, did you sort of question whether or not you possibly even wanted to keep fighting? You're a young guy. Did you want to maybe consider a career in something else? Did any of that sort of cross your mind?
I'd be lying if I say that it didn't. I mean, I think a lot of fighters kind of look. I've won fights, and as soon as I touch outside that octagon, I'm like, man, I ain't never doing this shit again.
So really? Wow.
Really, when you break it down, it's the craziest fucking thing in the world. You're fighting in front of 20,000 people in an arena, and it's you and one other person. You really gotta pour your soul out there in order to get it done. And it's just such a crazy. and it's like, is it worth it when it? But then you sit back, and then a week passes by, and you're like, oh, I love it so much. Like you know, it's just something. Then you starts to burn again. Uh, uh, to where was that question there? Yes, but that question is always there. To be honest with you, the main thing that I kind of knew after that fight is it really woke me up to what I need to do. I knew already that I needed to make changes in my camp. I just put it off on the back burner for so long, and I just figured I know how to fight. I'm gonna get through this next fight, and then I'll worry about it later. And it was kind of like a wake up call to, hey, if you know something's wrong, you need to fix it right here, right now. Don't just try and tough it out all the time, and don't let your ego get into play too much. I feel like my ego was starting to kind of run away with me a little bit there, and the universe has a crazy way of humbling you and kind of sitting you back down and making you think about some shit.
See, the reason why, by the way, I really appreciate honesty and candidness, Kevin, because I think a lot of people could have easily just said, nah, I love this game. But you gave a very honest and real answer there. But what's fascinating is I can understand, taking a loss and then wanting to, maybe never do it again. But you said that even after a win, sometimes you've had that question. What is it after sort of, sometimes even winning a fight that kind of brings that up? And I imagine a lot of fighters have that exact same thing. And is there a particular fight, specifically that you remember having that feeling after?
Like I said, there's been a couple. One in particular I can remember was I fought Francisco Trinaldo when I fought him down in Brazil, and that was such a tough, grueling fight. I feel I may have lost the first round. He landed a couple good shots in there, especially with his left hand. I came back and ended up winning the stand-up and finishing him in the second. But after that fight, I was like, man, it took so much out of me. And in order for you to really perform the best, I feel like you really need to put the real you out there. You really need to like pour your soul out there, which is hard. It's a lot harder to do than it is to say. When you've got millions of people watching, and your mom and your dad and everybody that you know and everybody that you love, they're all watching, and they kind of like, they're seeing the real you. And for somebody like myself who I'm introverted as it is enough. So to put myself out there like that, it's like, it can get hard. It can get like daunting on you a little bit. But then, like I said, you sit back for a week and you're like, man, I love it so much. And that's that fire inside of you, because that's when you really feel, or at least for myself, I mean, I don't know how other people feel, but that's when I feel most alive is when I do put myself out there. It's a scary thing to do. And it's like, sometimes you wonder, is it worth it? But at the end of the day, I feel like it will be.
And you mentioned some of the changes you want to make. Can you share with us what kind of changes are you looking to do to your training? Will you be training at a different camp? What's it going to look like for the next fight?
Yeah, I just got done doing this crazy 7-week tour of going around to different camps. I went to LA, I went to Phoenix, I went to Denver, I went to Montreal, and then I'm back here in Vegas now. But to try and find that guy out there, that somebody who will really speak to me. And to be honest, I feel like I did in Montreal with Tristar and Faraz Zahabi, and just having him and being around him and getting to pick his brain and his mind and seeing how it works. I feel like that's what I've been missing. I know that's what I've been missing a little bit ever since my coach Robert Fall has passed. I haven't had that guy to really guide me and show me the correct way and what to do. And I've just been kind of trying to listen to myself and figure I got it enough. But, it's been a real growing process for me to understand that I got to listen to other people sometimes. And, sometimes, even though this is an individual sport, even though I am the only one stepping in there, it's such a team effort of being able to rely on somebody else's experience. So working with Faraz, who is going to be the biggest addition to my camps, and going up and training at Tristar with all his guys is going to be a big one for me. So I'm taking it one step at a time. That's the only thing I'm focused on.
So just to confirm, so you'll be officially training with Tristar for your next camp, for your next fight. Will you be there full-time? Will you be doing part-time between Vegas and Montreal? How exactly is that going to work?
My home base will still be here in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't exactly figured out all the logistics of where and when I'll be. More than likely, it'll be half in Montreal, half here in Vegas. But we'll see how that whole thing plays out.
That's so fascinating, man, because for a long time we've sort of spoken about potential fights between Kevin Lee and GSP, and now up to Tristar. I mean, did you have a chat? Did you see GSP up there? Did you see guys like Rory McDonald up there? Are they happy to have you come and join them, being a guy that could have potentially fought him back in the past?
Yeah, I mean, me and George are cool. We pretty much hung out the whole time. He showed me around Montreal. He showed me all his little spots. We cool. At the end of the day, he understands it. We're martial artists. We're competitors. If I'm not trying to push myself to the limit and I'm not trying to fight the best that's out there, then I feel like he wouldn't understand me as much. I think he's got that same kind of fire in him. So he gets it. I mean, I'm a competitor. I'm gonna try and fight the best of the best. So I think that's like the biggest compliment that I could pay to you is by trying to fight you. If I'm not trying to fight you and you're a bum on the streets, then you probably be more upset at me. So we cool. We talk. We hang. I mean, he's gonna train with me a lot. So I feel like he'll be another one of those great minds that I can kind of pick by being up there and kind of seeing what makes him tick and what made him such a great champion. Those are the things that I think will boost me to the next level.
Dude, I was going to say, because we spent some time with GSP, and he's known for his mental game and overcoming some of the mental health issues that he's had in the past. So did he give you any advice on sort of what's been going on? And I suppose he could probably relate a little bit to what you've been going through, and you could probably relate a little bit to some parts in his career as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've followed his career since the beginning. He is a little bit of an idol of mine, but we haven't got that too far into it. We mostly just hanging out and kind of getting to know each other a little bit. So we'll take it as it comes.
I was going to also ask you, Kevin, just sort of speaking about Vegas and the UFC PI, we saw Michael Chiesa was still interested in having that rematch with you. And it's funny because he said that you guys kind of talked and ran into each other, chatted. We all remember, obviously, that press conference moment between you two. Things were kind of heated and tense for a while. What is it like these days when you guys run into each other at the PI?
It's been a while since I ran into him. Since the last time we had that talk. He was right. He asked for the rematch. I said, sure, yeah, you can get it. I mean, you just gotta earn it. You just gotta deserve it. But that's definitely something that's still on the table. If he feel like he want to run it back, I love free money, so I'm not gonna turn it down. I mean, he's a good competitor. I'll give him that. They've tossed him a couple softballs. I haven't fought a Diego Sanchez in my career yet. I don't get them kind of softballs. I'm taking on former world champions, but we'll see. We'll see how that whole thing play out. If there could be still some smoke there, and what they say, if there's smoke, there might be some fire. So we'll see.
I just want to clarify, when you say free money, as in because you see that as a favorable matchup for you, see Chiesa as a good fit for you in terms of an opponent?
Yeah, that fight ain't going no different than the first time. I was whooping his ass the first time and choked him out, and he only lasted a round. So, we'll see. I mean, if anything, maybe he might be able to last two. Maybe. I doubt it. But that's not really what I'm focused on. More than anything, I'm still focused on going after Kamaru and getting that title. I still feel like that's a good fight for me. So whatever fights put me there is what I'm gonna take. If Chiesa is one of them ones and he keeps winning and he keeps going up, then that's somewhere we'll visit.
Well, I was going to ask you, man, because there's there's heaps of really good matchups in the welterweight division now. We saw what Jorge Masvidal did to Ben Askren the other week with that crazy flying knee KO. I mean, Askren is now, he lost that fight, but is he somebody who's in your firing line now as a potential opponent, seeing as how much of a draw he is?
Yeah, like you say, he's a big draw, but he took a big hit with that one, and he didn't show that he can compete with a lot of the top guys, especially when you get knocked out. You talk about 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Like me, I'm gonna keep it real with you. it's got to be something in it for me. There's no way that I can updo a 5-second flying knee KO. And every time I go into a fight, I want to do better than the guy who did last. So, I don't know. There's not a whole lot there for me. I honestly, I'm not even focused on who's going to be the next opponent. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of great matchups out there. Anthony Pettis is getting ready to fight Nate Diaz too. You got Jorge Masvidal, who's a great fight. You got Darren Till, who's still out there. There's so many good fights that I'm not really too concerned with it. I'm more concerned with getting back in there, getting the right fight, and going out there and putting on a show just for me and trying to be better. It don't really matter who the opponent is.
I'll put it to you like this. Who do you see as sort of the easiest challenge out of that category? And who do you see as someone that could actually give you a good fight out of the potential opponents?
I mean, Ben is probably the easiest out of the category, out of anybody. He's just too hittable, and he's too one-dimensional, and too, he had that little back and forth with me at the press conference talking about he took me down when I was 19 years old, as if that meant something to anybody. He didn't talk about the right hand that I kept hitting him with right before that, but hey, that's water under the bridge. The probably the toughest, I honestly couldn't tell you. I mean, it would have to be Kamaru. Kamaru is bigger. We have a very similar style, and he's got some explosiveness on him, and he's shown that he can play a really strategic fight and go and it's hard to get rid of him, and he's going to be in your face constantly. So out of anybody, it's going to be Kamaru who's going to be the biggest fight. In the biggest challenge, and that's the one that I'm really chasing.
I don't know if you're really if these guys are really on your radar at all, but obviously you got RDA and Leon Edwards this weekend. RDA, obviously a guy that you know very well. Leon Edwards, putting together a nice streak. Who do you have sort of winning this weekend if you had to sort of put your analyst hat on?
I would have to go with RDA. I feel like his experience, especially. And he's fought so many guys. I mean, he fought me, obviously. He's fought Kamaru. He's fought Khabib. He's fought like every top contender that you can. If you name him, he's already fought him. Nate Diaz, Anthony Pettis, all these, Donald Cerrone, everybody that you name, he's already beat. So I just feel like that experience is going to be way too much for a guy like Leon. Leon's going to show up, and he's going to show up in shape. And RDA has been taking some damage, so there's a little bit there, but RDA's experience should win it for him for sure.
And while we're getting sort of predictions, and this one is a little bit down the line, but how do you think Dustin Poirier matches up with Khabib? Obviously, he's matching up with him soon. People sort of wondering if he's the man to sort of do it. Do you think he could beat Khabib and become champ?
To be honest, that's such a great fight. It really is. Like before, if you would have asked me this a year ago, I'd have said no way. Like Dustin is gonna get blown out the water. But I've counted him out so many times, and he's actually he's risen to the occasion. I think he's solid. He's fought a lot of 55ers now, and he's a real 55er. I feel like so size won't really play too much of a factor. I think the biggest factor is he moves very well. He's gonna move in circles around a guy like Khabib who's kind of on one track. Can Khabib pressure him back to the fence and get his hands wrapped around him? I don't know. It's a big question. So if you got to make me choose, and I'm a betting guy or something like that, and I'm choosing, I'm gonna probably go with the safe bet and say Khabib. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dustin really give him a run for his money and might even be able to steal some rounds, especially them later rounds. Dustin might be able to squeeze out 3, 4, and 5 in order to take it home.
I mean, you've sort of spoken about the guy. You're the guy to sort of beat Khabib. Would you be disappointed if someone gets around to defeating him before you got your chance to match up with him and do it?
Yeah, I would be. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I would be. I'd be disappointed. I'd be. There's another one that kind of slipped through my fingers. The same thing happened to me when Sage Northcutt, on his little come up. I was like, man, I want to be the one just to show the people. And then when he started taking L's, I kind of it like slips right through your fingers. Khabib is gonna be the same way, except a whole different level. I would love to be the one to take that O from him, but if I'm staying real, I lost the fight, and it ain't nobody's fault but my own. So who else can I blame for that?
Kevin, we could chat to you all day, man, but we don't want to be too greedy with your time. We'll end it on this just quickly. I know you don't have an opponent in mind, but timeline-wise, when do you think we'll see you fighting again? What's the ideal time frame for you?
October is where it's at. That's what we're looking at. We're trying to right now figure out location and what card. I think a pay-per-view makes a lot of sense. I think there's one here in Vegas. So a homecoming in Vegas always sounds good. But then again, there's a San Francisco card in October. It's a lot going on. So October is when I'm looking at. There's a growing process every time you're working with a different camp and working with different training partners and having that communication with a different coach. But we'll get it together and that'll be the next road in the comeback.
Oh, man, October. That's the one that was supposed to be in Australia. Don't break our hearts. Kevin is telling us it's officially in Vegas. No, it's all good. We'll put it like this.
You never know.
He could potentially be fighting in Australia or Las Vegas. Let's leave it like that for the pay-per-view in October, UFC 243. Kevin, we could talk to you all day, man, but we'll let you go. Of course, follow the man on Twitter and Instagram at Motown Phenom. He doesn't post frequently, but if he does, it's worthwhile,
Well, when I do, the comeback will be real.
Awesome, man. Looking great, Kevin. Thank you so much for jumping on the program, man.
Always, my man. Always. Thank you.